Hey, Mansfield today, and it's time to travel once again. And we're joined by an oldish friend of the Mansfield Today team, Kim Taylor, who's the Group Experience Director of Flight Centre. Hello, Kim. Nice to have you with us once again.
Hi, good to have you. Well, good to be back, sorry. Thank you.
Kim, we wanted to talk to you because there's so much happening now. I mean, recent news is that Virgin Atlantic are flying back into. Are they flying into Cape Town or Joburg or both venues? Do you know?
It'll be both. It'll be both cities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Virgin opening up the. All of these markets are slowly or not so slowly opening up. It's becoming a bit of a floodgate here, and I think a lot of people are getting a little bit nervous about what's needed for what, and what you have to have in place for Mauritius or the UK or America or whatever. Can we get some sort of clarity from you guys, and what sort of issues are you picking up at Flight Centre as a group?
Yeah, so like you said, certainly in the last few weeks, it's been insane. Just volumes of bookings that we've been dealing with. Countries are slowly removing us from red lists, so we are less restricted than what we were, which is great news. But with that, it's a massive travel boost we're experiencing, especially with destinations that are very popular for us, like the United Kingdom and the USA. So we've had a lot of bookings come through, firstly for the United Kingdom when they announced that we were being removed from restricted lists and that we would be allowed in, both with vax requirements as well as testing requirements. And we've seen a massive spike in bookings for the United Kingdom, predominantly for departures in November and December. So we anticipate that for families that are wanting to be reunited, that haven't been able to get together for some time now. And then obviously great news, the USA is another big market for us from an outbound travel perspective. So we're seeing a lot of bookings streaming in. Initially, when they announced that they were removing us from a restricted list, they didn't have a date in mind, but now we know that borders will open up on the 8th of November. So certainly our experts have been tremendously busy. We're very blessed. We've been waiting for this moment, but massive sparks in bookings. With that, like you say, a lot of complexity around what requirements are there to travel to these destinations. I can go through the USA and the United Kingdom because I think those are the two hot topics at the moment. But for the rest of the world globally, each country will have different requirements. And it's very important that you check those specific requirements for the country you wish to travel to, from a testing perspective, from a vaccination perspective, from how they will read or review your sort of vaccination card, and also to kind of check what sort of vaccinations are accepted. So those are important things to check when you're traveling to a country. And it's very important that you check that for your final destination, as well as on your journey, if you're transiting somewhere or you're stopping over somewhere, that you check the requirements for each country that you're traveling to. So that's very, very important.
Okay, let's go through the UK first. What are the requirements
Sure.
for the UK?
So for the UK, great news. So if you're fully vaccinated, non-vaccinated, you can travel to the UK. For a fully vaccinated passenger, you will need to complete a passenger locator form within 48 hours of your arrival in England. If you're fully vaccinated, you need to pre-book a test on day 2 of your stay in the United Kingdom. And when I say United Kingdom, I'll say England, because if you're traveling to Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, for example, other testing requirements might apply there. So I'm going to use England as our sort of primary focus here. So a passenger locator form, which you need to obviously have completed in 48 hours of arrival. Fully vaccinated, you need to pre-book and pay for a COVID test on day 2 of your stay. So your arrival date is counted as day 0. And then obviously on day 2, you need to have had that COVID test. If you're not vaccinated, you will need to pre-book that same COVID test, but for day 2 and day 8 of your stay. You'll also need to self-isolate for a period of 10 full days if you're not vaccinated. If you are fully vaccinated, if you're not fully vaccinated, you need to present a negative PCR test upon arrival, which is taken within 72 hours of your arrival in England. So just to go through it again, fully vaccinated, you need to complete the passenger locator form within 48 hours of arrival. and then you need to pre-book that test for day 2 of your stay in England. Remember, your arrival is counted as day 0. If you're not vaccinated, you'll need to still do the same passenger locator form within 48 hours. You need to present a negative PCR test within 72 hours of your arrival. You need to pre-book a test for day 2 and day 8, and you need to self-isolate for 10 full days in England. With the fully vaccinated passengers, you need to have 14 days that have passed since your final vaccination dosage was administered.
Okay, just to, before we carry on, just to clarify stuff here, I've received, this works the wrong way. I've received that from Department of Health to show that I've had my 2 jabs. And it says that the last one was administered on the 31st, the 18th, no, 31st of August, I beg your pardon. Is that acceptable to all or most of the states that you arrive in?
So a very hot question at the moment. So majority of countries will accept that. So with passengers that have been traveling, we've been obviously the best source of feedback is people that are traveling internationally and are experiencing the sort of checks that are done along the way. So it has been asked for, it has been accepted. We recommend that while we're going through this transition period, because it is still very new in our landscape, is to travel with both. Because we know that some countries do still require or ask for the old vaccination card. Well, I say old because the digital certificates come into play. But for the most part, people that have been traveling have said that our digital certificate has been accepted, but we would suggest traveling with both. For the United States, when they came out with their requirements, they've said that our vaccine card or the digital certificate will be accepted. But it won't hurt to travel with both, just to make sure that you obviously safeguard, check-in requirements.
Okay, the other hot one is the United States. What are the restrictions there, or what do you need to do there?
So very important for the United States is that they open their borders on the 8th of November. So that means that just past midnight, they will essentially open borders. So you can't book a flight to depart on the 7th of November to arrive on the 8th of November. Your flight needs to depart from SA on the 8th of November to arrive on the 8th of November or afterwards, obviously taking the time zones into account as well. So that's very important, because I think a lot of people thought in their head, I'm desperate to get to the USA for whatever reason it may be. Maybe it's family I haven't seen in the past 18 to 19 months. I'm desperate to get there. Let me book my flights for the 7th of November to arrive on the 8th. No, it needs to be booked on the 8th. That's when borders open. So anytime past midnight on the 8th or thereafter to arrive on the 8th or thereafter. Travelers must be fully vaccinated. So they must have had a full 2 weeks since the last or final dose was administered. And only vaccines that are approved by the CDC or the World Health Organization will be accepted. So our vaccinations are approved there, our South African administered vaccinations. And then also they've said that the paper or the digital proof of vaccination will be accepted. So in other words, our vaccine card will be accepted as well as our digital certificates. Again, we recommend traveling with both. Children under 18 don't have to be vaccinated, but all passengers from the age of 2 and up still need to present that negative PCR test. So even if you are, you're fully vaccinated, you still need to present that negative PCR test, which needs to be taken within 3 calendar days of traveling, which is equivalent of 72 hours. The airlines will collect a lot of information from you in terms of contact numbers, emails, physical address for where you're staying in the USA, because they do a sort of contact and tracing. There is a contact and tracing app that you'll need to download as well. So all that information will be collected by the airline. And then also another question is, I want to travel to the USA, what about visas? They haven't given us a definitive date in terms of when they'll start processing visas, but it is set to be in November sometime.
Okay, so there are all sorts of little things the nuances that we maybe are not aware of, like in the UK, for example, the fact that on day 2 after arrival, you will have to have you'll have to be tested. I take it that organizations such as Flight Centre would have details about how you go about booking those particular tests and where you go to, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. So those tests can be pre-booked on the gov.uk website. It's a fantastic government website for the UK. It's very detailed. You can actually pre-book those tests on that website. What's really nice is you can actually put in the area you'll be staying in, and it gives you a list of providers within that area, as well as the costs of the test. There's various ways that the samples can be taken. So they do a lot of self-service in the UK, where you have somebody that guides you through the process, but it's something that you can kind of go and do yourself. So all the information is on those websites, as well as the costs, because I know people always ask what is the cost of those tests. So all the information is on the gov.uk website. Also, like I said, it's very important if you're traveling to Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, different testing requirements might apply. So it's very important to check for those specific regions. But all the information is there. Very, very user-friendly website.
And as we've always suggested on Mansfield Today, if you are going to be traveling, rather go to a professional travel consultant and consult with them, people like Flight Centre, for example, and get the detail from them, because they have access to that detail, and you don't want to find yourself in a pickle when you're in a foreign country as a result of not having the correct information at your fingertips. Kim, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for helping us through this little quagmire that we find ourselves in. I'm very glad to hear that you guys are busy as all hell, because jeepers, you've been as quiet as anything, and the time has hopefully come that we can start restoring a bit of sanity to the travel market. Thank you very much for your time, and safe traveling.
Thank you.
Kim Taylor, the Group Experience Director of Flight Centre, joining us here on Mansfield Today. If you have any questions, then you can send them through to travel@mansfieldtoday.com. Thank you for joining us. We'll catch you again tomorrow with The Motoring Show with Segim Woodley. Until then, goodbye.